I built a complete ecosystem inside a jar using water collected from a tomb over 1,200 years old. And living inside it, creatures I had never seen before. I came across a medieval tomb carved directly into the rock, completely filled with water. And in that moment, a question crossed my mind that I simply could not ignore. Could there be life in that water? To recreate this ecosystem inside the glass jar, the first thing I did was add a few rocks to lay down the base. The tomb was filled with aquatic plants similar to sea algae, and I was convinced that hidden among them were tiny living creatures I could not yet see, ones we will discover later in this video, and that ended up surprising me more than I expected. Then I collected the most important element, the water. But I made the mistake of adding too much clay soil, which left the water completely murky with zero visibility. I also gathered a few plants from the surrounding area, which would help purify the water over time. Before heading home, I collected a few aquatic plants for this second jar to check whether I was right and there were creatures living among them. This time, I decided not to use water from the site, instead filling it with clean, transparent bottled water, so that if anything was alive and hiding among those plants, I would be able to see it clearly. Because just because you cannot see something does not mean it is not there. And I had a feeling this jar was going to surprise me. Pay close attention, because if you look carefully, the moment the water comes into contact with the plants, the first inhabitants are already starting to emerge. Almost timidly, strange figures and movements started appearing everywhere, as if the jar had suddenly come to life. At first I was startled, because I spotted what looked like a small beetle completely trapped inside an air bubble, with no way out. But then I saw another one, and another. All identical, all doing something strange with air bubbles that I could not quite make sense of. They behaved like a family, always moving together inside the jar. Even though they had plenty of space to roam, they never strayed too far from each other. But what surprised me most in this scene was watching one of them begin to draw in oxygen from the surface, using its wings to trap an air bubble and cover its abdomen with it. I had never seen anything like it, and I found myself completely absorbed watching them for quite a while, giving me a strange mix of calm and extreme curiosity in equal parts. My guess is that they use these air chambers trapped beneath their wings to control their buoyancy or simply to breathe underwater for as long as they need, as if they were carrying their own built-in oxygen supply. They clearly have a carnivorous diet, feeding on the remains of insects they come across along the way, acting as true cleaners of the ecosystem. Suddenly, I spotted something descending quickly along a plant. It was a different species of beetle, and at first it seemed like it was searching for something, but I eventually realized its trip down was simply to relieve itself at the bottom, before calmly making its way back up to the surface. Days went by, and everything inside the jar seemed to be in perfect balance. I provided indirect sunlight to keep the cycle of life going, and the plants began to grow stronger. But then I found something I had not noticed before. At the bottom of the jar, something appeared that looked like a worm, or perhaps the chrysalis of some kind of insect. I have no idea how it got there, or how long it had been there. I will be keeping an eye on it for a while to show you what emerges from it. After a week, the clay finally settled, and I found another worm buried inside it. Much longer than the last one, with a cylindrical shape that honestly made my skin crawl. Better not disturb it. Compared to the previous jar, this one was revealing far more creatures that had come directly from the tomb water. Their shapes looked like they were from another world entirely, and then something bigger moved quickly across the jar. It turned out that without realizing it, I had captured a few tadpoles that had slipped in when I collected the water. Even though they were much larger than the rest of the creatures in the jar, their size was still tiny. They were in the earliest stages of their lives, freshly hatched, and their only concern was scraping whatever food they could find off the walls of the jar. Every now and then, for no apparent reason, they would dart off in sudden bursts of movement that brought that little glass world to life. They reacted every time I got close to film them, showing surprisingly sharp eyesight for their size. But over time, they got used to my presence. However, the best was yet to come. I spotted this larva that looks almost alien, clinging to the surface and using its tail to breathe. And right beside it, something started spinning in strange circles. A microscopic creature was spinning a piece of wood suspended in the water, as if it were doing so in a completely deliberate way. Such a peculiar and unexpected scene that I found myself staring at the jar, not quite sure what I was looking at. It had a clearly prehistoric look to it, as if it belonged to another era entirely. I managed to capture it by pure chance, at exactly the right moment, because these kinds of moments last seconds and never repeat themselves. The piece of wood eventually sank to the bottom, and that creature never appeared again. Every day that passes brings more creatures, some of them completely new. A peaceful world for now, but with one significant problem: there are still no predators to control the number of living things inhabiting it. And in the meantime, strange structures began to appear at the bottom. This video took me a long time to put together to show you a world we never see with the naked eye, so I would truly appreciate it if you gave it a like and left a comment. But do not go anywhere, because this is not over yet. I realized the tadpoles would not have much of a future inside the jar, and for their own sake I decided the best thing to do was take them out and release them into the wild, where they truly belong.